Warning: the following episode of What It Was Called contains material that may be offensive. It is all in character, it is not real, it is not meant to be taken seriously, but please, if you do find it offensive, we do apologize, but this is only in character and it should not be taken seriously. Hello and welcome to another episode of What If It's Cool, the show where we talk about anything and everything that is cool in the world today. I am the skeptic known as Daniel Paul Crow, and on this episode, I have a sit-down interview with Jab. We talk about how James Bolton is no more. Yeah, make what you will of that one. And who exactly is Jab? So sit back, relax, and enjoy Who is Jab. Normally I like to say it's a pleasure to have my guests on the show, and this one's a little bit of a weird one. I've got Jab, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Jab, you look like James Bolton. What's going on there? Because it's to me you're James Bolton, but you're saying you're Jab.
Okay. I'm not the first person in the world to realize that they identify under a different name. James Bolton is the name that my mother gave me when I was born, my mother in this life. That's fine. But frankly, I lived as James Bolton. I did for 31 years, and there was one way to look at him in the end. He was a failure. James Bolton was a failure. James Bolton couldn't join the wrestling industry, for example, and win. James Bolton couldn't join the acting world and take off into superstardom, even though he had all the skill set. That's why James Bolton died. And I use those words with purpose. He died. And that is because I realized over the course of time a very, very difficult discovery, which is something I'll get into with you because a lot of people think that what I'm going through right now is easy, and it's not.
Okay.
I realized that I have been someone else all along, and it's time for me to choose my own name. I used to go by a different one. But, when I was a kid, I used to have very, very vivid dreams, like anybody does, dreams of conversations, dreams of arguments. But you know how some people say, some people dream in black and white, some people dream in color, there's certain differences. Whenever I dreamed, nobody ever called me James. And I never knew why. And I never questioned it. Everybody always called me Jab. I don't know why. And this is going back to when I was a little child having my first vivid dreams, and they went all the way. And then when I had what I'll call a breakthrough moment in the last few months and realized that I'm something much more than I thought I was. Who am I? That name rung to mind. That's who I am. That's who I really am. I'm not who my mother named me to be. I'm who this universe has named me to be. Does that make sense?
It does. But in saying that, who exactly is Jab?
About 3,500 years ago, a group of people had what you might consider to be a prophecy.
Right.
They had a theory. They had a theory that the creator of this universe was going to come to this plane, this worldly plane. And he was going to come here with the mission to save those on this planet that followed him, right?
Right.
Now, to the belief of most, that wound up happening 1,500 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And they all agree on one thing, all of them. Whether you are of Jewish faith, Christian faith, Muslim faith, there is one thing you agree on. Whether he was here before or not, whether he walked this earth or not, he will come back. He will be here in the future.
I'm presuming you're referring to Jesus Christ.
That's a name I used to go by, sure.
Right.
But as I said, It's a lot like the name James Bolton. It's who I was because I had a life then, just like I have a life now. I was given a name by my mother then, just as I was given a name by my mother now. That doesn't have to be the name that defines me. And yes, it's the name by which you know me and by which most know me, but it's time to associate me with a name that I choose, which is Jab. And my question to you before I truly introduce who and what I am is, you say your entire life that you are of the faith, the very, very certain faith that one day the anointed one will return, that the prophecy will return. Okay, let me test your faith. What would you do if it happened?
Right now,
Why not?
if it happened, I'll just like, okay, cool, let's go to the promised land.
Then I'll take that as you saying just that. Because the funny thing is, here it is, happening right now. And I'm not having some ideological party here in discovering this. This is not a brag. This is hard. This is a lot of responsibility to bear. You know the saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
I hold more power than any being in this universe. By proxy, I hold more responsibility than you or anyone you've ever known. That is not easy, so don't ever think this is a brag. But it's happening now. It's happening. And I was in as much shock as anybody else to discover this. But I'm back. And I'm understanding as time goes on what my mission is and how I'm to continue this mission.
So you used a stereotypical superhero trait, with great power comes great responsibility. Is this just a way of James Bolton trying to be relevant, trying to just get out of
no. Dan, can I call you Dan?
Sure.
Yeah. James Bolton had no problem with relevance. You understand what I'm saying? James Bolton is still everything that you remember him to be, and you didn't know him for a long time. None of us did. But, in just a few months in the wrestling industry, this industry that you and I love, this industry that dates back to the days of the Colosseum, this industry that dates back to the earliest years of mankind, person on person, who is the better fighter? In that industry, James Bolton walked in and with months had everybody's attention. Everybody's attention. He could walk into that ring and he
certainly had
mine. You're damn right he did. You're damn right he did, because he'd have been blind for him not to have had your attention. He could go in there and lose, and he did. And he came out more relevant. Why? Because everybody saw the spirit that he had. So no, this is not some kind of mission of relevance. I didn't need to seek relevance when I walked onto the set of Young Rock, which is on NBC. You ever heard of them? Local channel that's kind of the biggest in the world, that's produced by a guy you might have, The Rock. You ever heard of him? I had no problem being relevant. I stood in a ring with Chavo Guerrero months into my career, and he was marveled at the skill that I had. He couldn't believe it. He said to me, "How many matches have you had?" I said, "Oh, 6." He said, "You look like you've had thousands." So relevance is not an issue here. I'll be honest, there's a reason we have a saying, it's a heavy cross to bear. It is. It is. This isn't about relevance. This is about salvation. Yours, not mine.
All right. Could it be a blow to the head because obviously, you had that match with Fox and things did happen? Could that just be something that's happened there?
What do you mean things did happen? What? I got dropped on my head. I got tombstoned by Fox.
Yeah.
After I promised that you would never see James Bolton in Mayhem Pro, that particular place, ever again. Do you think that kind of sent me over the edge or something?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I've been through plenty of things in my life that would have set me over the edge. Did I snap on that night? Yeah, I did. But you could say on the face of it that was due to something very human like shame or guilt or embarrassment or something like that. But I came to find that was my time to snap. That was James Bolton's time to die. It was my time to die again. And I did. Because it's funny. Right before I did whatever, how could he have done that? All right, I hit a ref, okay? Let's call it what it is. I hit a referee, get over it. All right, I did something maybe people shouldn't do. Right before I did that, everybody in that room in Bacchus Marsh, Victoria, everybody in that room started chanting their little na 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 goodbye song because they thought it was funny that I put my career on the line and lost. They thought that was funny. They mocked me. Do you know what happened the last time a group of people mocked me for who I was?
What happened?
I got crucified. Do you think I still don't feel that pain? Do you think that every time I got itchy and painful right here, every time I felt uncomfortable, you think that was a coincidence? That was me remembering the last time I got mocked. So you can say, well, he got dropped on his head. He's just being crazy. You know what, man? I half expect it. Maybe if I were in your shoes, I'd think the same thing. But you're going to, for now, have to take my word. And pretty soon you'll have far more than my word to take. That this is very, very, very real. To a scary degree. That something that you prophesized, something that you believed in, something that you have fought wars over, something that you've argued with your family over, something that you've lost friends over, this belief that you have held on to is happening and you hate that you're right. You're right. It was always going to happen and it's happening now. Because guess what? The magic times, the miracles, they don't just belong to a time gone by. They belong to your lifetime too. And you're living it right now. You're not living in the times of the Old Testament or the New Testament, my friend. You're living in the times of the Last Testament. And that is a huge honor.
You keep saying you get itchy in that one hand.
Both hands.
Both hands. But we always only see you do it with the one hand. What about your feet? Because last time I checked, it was both hands and the feet.
Yeah. Did you know I was a black belt in Taekwondo? Did you know that?
Was Taekwondo even a thing back then?
In this lifetime.
All right.
I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. This exists. Why? Because I used to walk around the house constantly kicking things for a living and my parents thought maybe we should put this to good use. Why did I kick things so much as a kid? I wonder. Maybe that's something I worked out in the last couple of months too. Maybe there was a reason I was so restless in my feet. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's a reason I used to like to fight so much. Because I put these very painful experience to some sense of numbing. Like I remember it. I do. I don't need to be reminded where my scars are. Because they're still there, Daniel. Like, they're still very much there.
Okay. Well, I don't want you to get emotional about it. That's not what we're here for. That's not what the school's all about. But we'll move on from that. But what I need to ask is, because obviously, this is a new version of you, as we will call it. What do you plan to do in the future?
I'm really glad you've asked that. It's a continuation, right? I have tried in the past, in the very far past, in lifetimes before this one, to convey to people that do not obey my message, that do not obey my law, to tell them that without obeying, guess what they don't get? Paradise. I've tried it. I tried it 2,000 years ago by walking this earth. I tried it thousands of years before that by causing a flood that was supposed to be a warning. I couldn't think of a better way to warn you to stop living in sin, to stop going against me. But you found ways to do it. Disgusting things, fornications, substance abuse. I tried to be the best father I could be. Well, the flood didn't work. Walking the earth evidently didn't work. I tried again. I sent a man to you. I spoke directly to him to the point it nearly killed him to hear my voice from up there. To say maybe if I speak directly, this will work. It didn't work. I know what it is now for a parent to have disobedient children because I've got billions of them. So now I need to come back again. But this time it needs to be different because this time the world is different. This time culture is very different. How do you penetrate the culture? By finding the platform where you can talk to them all at once. And that's why it's happening now. A lot of people say I should have come back in the 1930s and the 1940s because there was a bit going on back then where people could have used my help. But I'm back now because this is where technology has gotten to a point where the world is one. It's globalized now, brother. We've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've got Zoom. Look, you and I are talking to each other. We're not in the same room. This is where I can speak to everyone at once. I don't have to pick a region like the Middle East. I don't have to pick a region like Israel anymore. I can speak to everybody now. And then there's this little thing, there's this little subculture in this world called professional wrestling. And how apt that in my former self, in my former life as James Bolton, I fell in love with professional wrestling. I wonder why. Because I was always meant to reach people through that. Because there are a lot of sinners in this world, Daniel, but I'll tell you where a lot of them are. In front of TVs watching wrestling. I've met some of these people. These people that go to these barnyard shows, these people that go to shows all over Victoria, Australia, the world, they're barbaric. They're barbaric, and they cheer for immoral people, and they think that that's some sort of standard to hold on to. That's why I had to enter through that world. That's why this is where I am, because you, the wrestling fans, are the first people that need to be saved. Let me tell you, you are the first people that need me. And I speak directly to you. You're the subculture that changes the world. People have no idea how much wrestling fans have changed the world. Now you can change it for the better. And then when I bring all of you back to me, one by one, culture by culture, country by country, man by man, woman by woman, you will all, as long as you follow me and as long as you believe in me, you will all get a ticket to paradise. And I can promise you that.
I just think it's weird that you decided to pick a show like what if it's called the Broadcaster's Message. I mean, surely there could have been, I don't know, other shows out there that have a much bigger platform than mine. Why did you decide to pick this show?
You mustn't be so mean to yourself. You mustn't be. You're underselling yourself. You're a wonderful person. You've got this amazing platform. Look at who you talk to. You ever met your listeners? You ever met people that tell you they listen? Yeah. Then I don't need to say anything more, do I? Have a read of their person.
I've got the best listeners in the world.
Well, okay.
You don't believe me?
They could do with their savior, is what I am saying. And it's a wonderful show. I'm not arguing that. It's a wonderful show. You talk to some great, interesting people. God, I'm not a hater.
Right.
I'm not. I love all my children the same. But I know their faults. I know their flaws, and I know when they need me. This is a great place to start. Because the very kind of person that listens to What If It's Cool is the exact kind of person that needs to be saved by me. What if it's cool? What if it's the rapture?
Right. Okay. Well, Look, Jab, I'd like to firstly thank you for being part of the What If It's Cool. And I just got to ask my final question. Will we ever see the real James Bolton ever again?
It depends what you mean by James Bolton. Because if by James Bolton you're talking about some kind of a personality, a way of acting, no. No, I've mourned the loss of James Bolton. It's done. But James Bolton, the person that was born in 1991, is very much still in front of you. Very much so. The physical being. I'm here. I didn't go into some incubator and come out this different person. It's been me all along. I was just being called the wrong name. That's all. I have no hatred for the name James Bolton. I have no animosity towards James Bolton. It's very much who I was. But will you see me in such a form where I'm not enlightened to who I am? Will you ever see me in such a way where I'm not cottoned on to the fact that I'm the prophecy, that I'm the chosen one, the anointed one? No, because I know now. You can't unknow something as heavy, as frankly traumatic, if I'm honest, and as pressure-filled as that. Because the moment I figured that out, my mission really started, and there was no time to dwell. It's time to work. And it's a big job.
All right. Well, Jab, thank you for being part of the school.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, really. I appreciate this, and I appreciate you, and I love you. And you're a good person. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, not sure how to make it that. But again, it's just a character, okay? It's not real, you know? But what's real, on Friday, 9 a.m., wherever you get your podcast, part 2 of this interview with the real James Bolton will be debuting. And I firstly just want to thank James for being a good sport and just having some fun with me being a character. And with that being said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Want more from What If It's Cool? Make sure to check out the YouTube channel where you can find the latest episodes of Mukbanging Around, Reaction, and of course, the vodcast. And don't forget to follow What If It's Cool on all socials. It can be found at What If It's Cool. Keep that support coming. And until next time, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.